Use your powers for evil.
Your evil is mine.
In the immortal words of Patrick Troughton, the Second Doctor, oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we? Welcome to the next episode of Next Stop Everywhere. And yes, as you can probably guess by now, Jesse Jackson, our regular leader of the show, is not here. So in his absence, he's entrusted me, Charles Skaggs, to actually lead this thing. So let's try and give me a little slack here. This is my first time actually leading the podcast. I'll try and do my best. But fortunately for you, we have a nice, wonderful co-host filling in for Jesse. Please welcome Karen Lindsay.
Hello.
Hello.
The podcast mom, apparently.
The podcast mom. Filling in for her, or should it be substitute podcast?
That's right.
Substitute Jesse.
Substitute Jesse. And I think I'm in good hands. I think you'll be fine. I
think so. I think if nothing else, she's going to make up for my many, many faults. So
you'll be fine.
We'll just put this out of the way. So I'm throwing every disclaimer I can think of right off the bat. But
and if not, it doesn't matter because we're both awesome. People will like it.
See, this is why we wanted Karen on the show, because she brings something that I obviously cannot. So,
Confidence is that
confidence.
No,
yes,
I do not have confidence. But hey,
but you fake it much better than I do. So
okay, good.
Well, let's just roll
that
with
works.
that. Let's just roll with that.
It's just experience. That's all.
That's it. Yeah. See, she's the veteran. I'm like the nerdy freshman that gets his butt kicked and thrown into the bathroom every.
I'll give you a secret. Here's my secret.
Yeah.
People like it even if you mess up.
Oh yeah, they like it even more because they can make fun of you. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, I'm going to give people plenty of ammo then. So for those who don't know, Jesse's off at Dragon Con this weekend, hobnobbing and schmoozing and probably meeting many, many more doctors because he's just that fortunate of a person and just throws that up to me as we've discussed in previous podcasts. So yes, my envy level will be rising. Yes. It's like,
me too.
Yeah. So, because I'm here in Ohio and very few doctors actually come to Ohio. And if so, then they never come when I have the opportunity to see them. So yes, I'm I don't want to say jealous, but I'm just envious of him.
I'm jealous.
You're jealous?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Okay.
I was supposed to be there, so yeah.
You lucky bastard. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm shaking my fist right now.
Jackson.
Like Con, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and then you have the dramatic James Horner music. So okay. All right.
And then when we go to fight, it's da 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 da.
That sounded more like Lost in Space. I don't know.
It's both. It's
Okay.
all of them combined.
Okay. The arena music, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so see, we're already digressing, so this is good.
That's right.
All right. So for as advertised, we're going to be reviewing the next episode of Peter Capaldi's first season of Doctor Who. We're going to be reviewing Into the Dalek, which was written by Phil Ford and co-written by Stephen Moffat because he needed to get his name on another episode, and directed by Ben Wheatley, who directed the previous episode, Deep Breath. So, okay, so as we might as well go ahead and get into this.
And I'd prefer not to go into the Dalek.
Yeah,
That's okay
yeah,
with you.
it's just kind of a little creepy title when you think about it. That
Yeah.
Into the Dalek. It sounds like that's like okay, setting up Doctor Who porn or something. I don't know.
Exactly. Bounce.
Bounce, bow, wow. Yeah, exactly.
Although it did make for a really great joke in the episode.
Oh.
They're gonna miniaturize me and put me in there.
Yep.
That would make for a fantastic movie.
Yep. But like really bad if you're a proctologist.
Yeah. 2 jokes in one. Very nice.
See, the 12th Doctor can be funny. No,
Yeah,
not so.
he was funny
Yeah,
through this whole episode.
I thought he was. I don't know what some people. Some people are like, oh, he's so serious and yeah. But no, I think he's just fine.
No,
Especially in. Go ahead.
he was laconic.
Laconic.
Yeah.
Excellent adjective.
Thank you.
Very impressive. Okay, so anyway, as hopefully you've seen the episode by now because we're going to go through like serious spoiler territory. But if you haven't, the whole premise was that while the doctor's off fetching coffee for Clara because he's like her coffee boy apparently, he runs into this woman named Journey Blue. Who turns out to be like a rebel fighter that's getting chased by Daleks in a really impressive opening sequence. And he saves her as her ship goes down, but he's not able to save her brother. And so they go back to this space station called the Aristotle, and there he's met by Journey's uncle, who's this guy named, Colonel Morgan Blue, which sounds almost like a rum. So take that for what you will. But he thanks the doctor, says, hey, thanks for saving my niece's life and everything, but we're going to kill you. Sorry, because you could be a Dalek spy. We don't know, but, we're going to kill you anyway. So, that's fair. Thanks. Okay. But so anyway, before they can do that, however, Journey suggests that the doctor can maybe help out with this little problem they have with this, a captured Dalek that apparently is somehow turned good. And there we go. We're off and running with the premise. So, Karen, what did you think of the episode?
I liked it. Not the best Doctor Who episode, but I thought it was decent. There were some parts that required hand waving. Mm-hmm. But an otherwise pretty good episode, I thought. Some high points. I thought a lot of it was kind of a morality tale.
Right.
I thought.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on.
Yeah, and I thought it was very insightful for the Doctor at the end. So overall, I dug it.
That's good. Did you like it better than the previous week?
No, I like last week better.
You like last week better. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool because I actually like this episode a little bit better than last week, but I think that's open to personal interpretation.
They weren't too different for me.
Right.
I mean, it might have been a half a point.
Maybe because of being the same director, and maybe just the pacing and whatnot. But I mean, still. Go ahead.
I thought this was more even of an episode than last week. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think how I should put this. And it's not because
Go ahead.
I think I could put it wrong. I just I feel like this was more put together.
Okay.
Than last week's episode.
More of an actual Doctor episode or Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, last week was very Doctor Who. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It was very Doctor Who, but it was almost like that was a setup episode, which it was. Mm-hmm. And this week was just like, hey, let's jump in and here's Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I preferred that. I liked it that it was just like, here's Doctor Who. Let's get into it. We don't have to set up anything.
Right. We can jump right in.
Right.
Exactly.
Someone could watch this who had never seen Doctor Who and they would have enjoyed it. Last week, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
People just could not have jumped in and watched that one. And I kind of dug that, if someone was watching this one, they would have liked it no matter what.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because, I think this was much more a traditional episode. And I actually think it was more of like a classic traditional episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it just had kind of with Capaldi's Doctor being almost feel like, taking us back to almost like the John Pertwee, Tom Baker era.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
In terms of a general vibe, that I thought this was a more traditional episode in that sense. But
yeah, I enjoyed the fact that he made Journey rephrase her demand several times. Almost like a teacher. Mm-hmm. He reminded me of Mr. Hand.
from
Fast Times.
Ridgemont High, yeah.
A little bit. no, no, not like that.
Right.
And so she had to rephrase it and put down her gun, and
Yeah.
he really put her in her place.
Right.
And that kind of earned her respect, I think, and turned her into this person that said, okay, this is someone I need to follow. I can't be a soldier with him.
Right.
And then, it set up for the end of the episode where she wanted to go with him, and he still couldn't
Deal with it.
He couldn't get past that
Yeah.
original. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that that I noticed in the episode was that that whole thing about soldiers and how this doctor at least seems to have a problem with soldiers, which is interesting if you consider that like the whole historical context of the show, because I mean he's had soldiers as companions before. I mean he had Sarah Kingdom, he had Ben Jackson, Harry Sullivan, the Brigadier, Sergeant Benton, and so Captain Jack Harkness, all these people that were soldiers that know how to be soldiers. And then now all of a sudden he's got a problem with that. Now the question is, of course, well, is he just like trying to act like he's got a problem with it, except for when he actually needs them as soldiers to be soldiers for him? So there was an interesting little commentary on that, I think, and a little bit more an interesting aspect of this new Doctor, I thought.
Well, I think it had a lot to do with the context of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with the Daleks is the war between the whole,
Time war. Yeah.
Right. And, the Doctor in particular and the Daleks. And he doesn't want to fight anymore. I mean, this made him look inside himself, and he doesn't want to be that hate-filled person anymore. And if he takes a soldier with him, maybe he'll give in to that hatred. I mean, I just thought I saw that.
Yeah, I think there was that moment in when he's confronting the Dalek and doing his little Spock mind meld with the Dalek, that the Dalek looks, Rusty looks inside him and sees that, he still has this hatred inside him.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, it didn't just go away, with after the War Doctor and regenerating into the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, and then just giving that all up. It didn't go away. It's still in there. He still has that bitterness, that edge. And I think it was interesting that he mentioned something that he says he didn't really know who he was until he first landed on Skaro back in the second ever Doctor Who story, The Daleks, back during the William Hartnell era, because, I think that just, he said he called himself the Doctor, but he didn't really knew what that meant until he first landed on Skaro, which I thought was like, oh, we're bringing in the old stuff and, putting a new spin on that, which I thought was pretty fascinating to me, at least, as a old school fan.
Yeah, and this is kind of an old school type episode too. I mean, you said it before, but to bring back something that harkens back to Fantastic Voyage,
right?
That is a very old school sci-fi theme, and it really puts you in the mind of like standard sci-fi with an updated twist to it.
Right.
I thought it was, now again, hand wave on some of this stuff, but it really made a point, with going inside a Dalek, because it was also, it was literally going inside the Dalek and also figuratively going inside a Dalek.
So we've got metaphor action going on.
Right. And then also going inside the Doctor.
Yes.
So, not to mention the hand wave again, but, take that out of it, and then you get the whole figurative looking inside oneself through looking inside someone else. And I thought that was a really good way to do that.
See, we're getting really, really deep now. This is good.
Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good.
That's my trademark. So
very analytical. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I tend to do that.
No, that's good, because we definitely, I definitely agree with that assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not the only one who noticed that. So
Okay, good.
okay, so all right, let's.
Just so you know, I deliberately stay away from reading any boards or anything. So I haven't seen any kind of
reaction.
No, nothing.
That's good.
So
Then you come at it fresh and not with
Yeah.
preconceived notions.
yeah, especially when I know I'm going to be talking about it. So
That's good.
I'm not copying anyone. I'm not.
You're not looking off their paper, and
Yes, these are all my opinions.
that's good.
So.
All right, so what did you think of Danny Pink, the new companion played by Samuel Anderson?
The other
companion.
teacher?
Yes, the other teacher, the new math teacher at the Coal Hill School.
Hot?
Hot?
I'm sorry.
Hey, you're like, hey now.
That's again one of my trademarks, but I'll get past that. First of all, I think
just wipe the drool off the corner of your lip, and you're just.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that bothered me was how presumptuous everyone was at the school.
Yeah.
I think probably they just assumed that he's a player without ever having any evidence of that.
Yeah.
Any evidence.
Yeah. What was their justification for that?
Right. I'm assuming none because he was very shy.
Right.
And
unless somebody posted on their little Coal Hill teacher forum or whatever, watch out for this guy, he's a sex machine or something.
Right. But he obviously is not.
No.
And the insinuations that the secretary was making, oh, I bet you did.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all. I thought that was rude of her.
Yeah.
And
a little sexual harassment there.
Yeah, a lot, actually.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be delicate, but yeah.
No, I know. And no one thinks anything of it because it's a guy and a girl saying it to him. But if it were me, I think I'd be mad on his behalf, and I'd be like, dude, why is she saying that to you? That's rude.
Yeah, there's that kind of double standard because with guys, you're expected if the situation is reversed like that, the guys if you don't play that up and be proud of it, something's wrong with you.
Right. Now, see, if I was one of his coworkers, I might flirt with him a little bit, but I would never assume that he was a player and make comments about it. My flirting is rather harmless.
Yeah.
At least that's what people say. So I'm hoping it's true. But
that's good.
I liked him. I see that vulnerability. I mean, they really made that point very clear.
Kind of like when he was banging his head on his desk.
Now, I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
They weren't imaginary things. They were just kind of flashing forward and back and forward and back, right?
I think so.
So he was having the conversation, and what happened was he had the whole conversation, and then he went in and had the other conversation with himself, but they were showing parts of this and parts of that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. The way I took that scene, that whole sequence, was that he was reliving the events in the classroom in his head, or actually, and talking to Clara. Talking with Clara.
Right.
And
while he was in the classroom banging his head on the desk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just because that's what guys do because we say stupid things constantly. It's just our nature. It's who we are.
Right.
So yeah, when we that whole thing about sure, I'd love to go with you to this dinner or go out and hang with you at this event, and then you don't say that, and you're just reliving that in your head going, why didn't you say that? Why you dumb idiot?
Well, part of me when I watched it the first time was like, is that him imagining what he was saying at the time, and it was kind of a dream, or but then I realized I thought it was like him flashing back to what he was saying to her in the hallway. Yeah. So at least I think I got that right.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think so too.
And then her saying "change your mind," that was real too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fiction.
That's what I took from it. So yeah.
With science fiction, you can never be completely sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's just go with it that that's what happened.
That it really did happen. Okay.
Yeah. That sounds good.
So
let's go with that.
I thought that interchange was really great. Now she's leaving the show, right?
Well, that's the thing. We don't really know for sure. I mean, there was a report. For those who don't know, there was a report in the Daily Mirror, one of the British tabloid rags, that Jenna Coleman, the actress, is going to be leaving after the this year's Christmas special. But here's the thing: nobody else is reporting that, and if they are, they're all sourcing the same Mirror article. So the question is, is that really legit, or is it just something the Mirror made up to, get some hits?
Okay,
But
so we don't know for sure.
we don't know for sure. And Capaldi has gone on record saying, I'm not looking for a new assistant. And then Jenna Coleman has said that, well, she's being real coy about it. Like, I actually dig these rumors. I think it makes things really interesting because people don't know if I'm coming or going. So she's being really coy about it.
Ugh.
Deliberately so, yeah. Instead of just saying, yes, I'm leaving, or no, I'm not.
Okay, that's the worst.
Yeah, it is the worst.
So at the very least, there might be a chance for some romantic.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, she's going to be around through the Christmas special.
Okay, so we might have a pond situation happening here.
That's what I'm thinking, is that, they'll hook up, and maybe somewhere halfway through the season, Danny gets dragged into the TARDIS, and then they go off on this adventure, and then Danny becomes like the new Rory.
Okay.
But we'll see if that happens. I mean, it seems like that's where they're headed. Unless you believe that whole there was also some speculation about that maybe Danny Pink is, because I think simply because he was, like, in his promo shot, he was wearing a big dark coat and he has a beard. So therefore he must be the master, just based on that.
Ugh.
And it's just all part of this big master ruse to woo Clara and get aboard the TARDIS and do whatever the master wants to do.
Now, okay, I'm also seeing,
which I'm not buying, but okay.
I'm also seeing a mirror here as well, in that he is also a soldier.
Right.
So that would be an interesting dynamic.
I think that's what they're setting up, is that the Doctor has this conflict about soldiers. So what happens when we bring another soldier on board the TARDIS?
Right, but a complete mirror of the soldier that he rejected.
Right.
She was a dedicated soldier that, was unfeeling, and he was a soldier that actually cried about having to kill people and cares about people, and
Yeah, so obviously we're not going to see the last of him, and so yeah.
I'm cool with that.
I think they're setting him up for joining the TARDIS team.
Yeah, I like. I think he is out of place in that school.
Right.
For one thing. I do like that whole thing that he has with the fun, working the soldiers into shape. What are you, children?
Yeah, yes. That was good.
Do you think you're funny? Yes. All right,
so
fine, whatever.
Nobody's respecting him.
Yeah, and it's cute, but I think he's a square peg in a round hole there, and the fact that they don't understand him, and I don't know, I feel like he doesn't fit in there, and that is like the perfect setup to be a companion.
Yeah. Well, I think this might be something that Stephen Moffat has in mind, is that if he brings Danny aboard the TARDIS, you've got two teachers from the Coal Hill School, just like way back when with Ian and Barbara from the First Doctor era. So it's just that kind of full circle is coming around to Doctor Who, that I think that's what's happening. And I think that's why Clara was brought into the Coal Hill School, so therefore she can meet, someone like Danny, and then you'd have those two teachers in the TARDIS again, just like back in the old days.
Okay, cool.
So,
I think that's a good theory.
That's my theory. Let's run with that too.
I don't think he's the master.
I don't think he's the master either, because can you really picture the master just banging his head on his desk? I can't.
No,
I think that
absolutely not.
No, so that right there just is like, he's not the master. Come on, move on. So anyway,
I concur.
So one of the other things I noticed in that episode, real subtle, was that there were calculations on a blackboard shown once again. This time inside the Doctor's TARDIS. Remember, in Deep Breath, there was the Doctor was writing all kinds of calculations on the floor inside his room at Madame Vastra's house, and this time there's more calculations, but on a blackboard inside the TARDIS console room.
Yep.
So obviously he's calculating something, working something out. The question is, what is he working out?
It's wormholes.
Wormholes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Have you watched Farscape?
Yeah. Oh, I love Farscape. Are you kidding? I'm actually going through season 2 again right now. But
that's what John did. You know, he used to ride on.
He's going to run
arms.
He's going to run into John Crichton.
Yeah, exactly.
Which would be
awesome.
He's
write everywhere. He would write with like his blood, and just he couldn't get enough spaces to write on. So
Ben Browder was in A Town Called Mercy. Here.
I know, so that was a good episode.
It was.
Too.
It was just I just loved it just for seeing him on Doctor Who finally.
I know, it was great.
Yep. So that was good.
But we don't know what he is.
Yeah, what he's wearing. We don't know. It's too early to tell. I know, but yeah, he's obviously working on something.
Yeah.
So is he? So
it
is he?
Anything?
Yeah, it could be anything. So hopefully we'll get more answers to that. But I think it's definitely something to pay attention to.
Is he trying to get to Matt Damon? I'm sorry. Yeah. That's a pretty obscure joke, isn't it?
Kind of. You want to explain it to him? Explain it.
What is the name of that movie? Good Will Hunting, where he solves that equation on a blackboard. I'm sorry.
Right, because he's a savant. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just go look up Good Will Hunting and you'll understand what I mean. But I'm just trying to think of any movie where someone does an equation on a blackboard. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it has to be.
A Beautiful Mind.
Oh, very good.
There's another
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we also saw another cameo by the mysterious Missy.
Yes.
Very briefly, as she
Welcome to Heaven.
Yeah, she scooped up Gretchen, the red shirt rebel against the Daleks.
The second red shirt.
The second red shirt, and who got snuffed by Dalek antibodies. And as soon as she died, somehow she gets transported into quote unquote heaven, and where she's immediately offered tea with just a splosh.
Yeah, that reminded me a little bit of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Didn't it? I mean,
a little bit, yeah. If you're a Douglas Adams fan, like we both are, yeah, you'll get that vibe. And
yeah, always with the tea.
Douglas Adams obviously, and has so much history with Doctor Who, and the two are will be forever, tethered together in wonderful ways. But
exactly.
But yeah, so she's obviously collecting dead people.
Yeah.
For what purpose? We don't.
And again, a parallel, because so is the Dalek, and they jumped into that pit of dead people as well. So it's almost like they were hitting us over the head with, hey,
yep,
they're collecting dead people.
Right. That seems to be a running theme. So
yeah.
Yeah, and then everybody gets all covered with, protein. And then they walk away, and then all of a sudden it's magically dried, and everybody.
I know. I thought the same thing.
I'm like, okay, how did that happen? And then the Doctor's hair is all perfect, and so is Clara's, and it's like, okay, there's a little bit of a continuity glitch there. But
that is one of my hand waves, just so you know. One of them, yes.
Yes, that's nice.
They were in that little tube, and I was like, oh, isn't that nice that she had a curling iron? Her bangs are perfectly curled.
Well, they miniaturized those too.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just popped it out, and it was all, like in her handbag, which was bigger on the inside. So
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to mention that joke when Journey came out of the TARDIS, and she said it's smaller on the outside.
Yes.
He said it's more impressive the other way.
Yep.
That was funny.
So I guess now we're going to be doing that for a while, because she's after Clara. Yeah, Journey's the second person to make that comment. So
yeah, it was great.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, they were all clean and.
Anyway, yeah, it was that just kind of gnawed at me. I'm just like, really, guys? Okay.
It did me too. Every time I saw it, I gritted my teeth. I was like, why are you clean?
Yep.
That really bothers me.
Yeah. So okay. So what was your favorite line of the episode? Or did you already? Was that it?
I think that might have been it.
Okay.
I really do. And then there was, I don't know, there was the insight stuff at the end too. That God, I can't remember the specific lines, but
okay.
when he was very introspective, talking about hatred and things like that. That
Yeah, it was a really good
kind of got
speech.
to me.
Yeah, there was a really
Yeah.
good speech there that will probably be recited by some older doctor at a convention somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for those who don't know, that there's been videos on YouTube of like Colin Baker reading the Rings of Aquitaine speech and Sylvester McCoy reading the Pandorica Open speech and stuff like that. So great stuff if you can go on YouTube and find it. So yeah, probably somebody will be reading, like, Peter Davison or somebody will be reading the Into the Dalek speech.
Yeah, I think that whole segment at the end when he was realizing that, okay, here's the line that really got me is when the Dalek said, "You are a good Dalek,"
Right.
to the Doctor, and that hit me right in the solar plexus.
And you notice that was a nice little spin on the line from the 2005 episode Dalek, where the Dalek tells the Ninth Doctor that you would make a good Dalek.
Mm-hmm.
And now here he is, saying that you are a good Dalek.
Yep.
So,
and I think the way he looked when that happened and he took that beat.
Yeah, and then the Dalek, or Rusty, gives that look back like, yeah, that's right, I said it.
Mm-hmm. I went there.
I went there, exactly.
Yeah, and
you got played, son. You got played.
Between that serious line and then the funny line about the TARDIS, those were two, bookmarks.
Yep.
On the show that I liked. My
favorite line was early on when the Doctor's has to explain who Clara is and what she's doing there. He's explaining that she's not his assistant. He's like, yeah, she's my carer. She cares so I don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, ooh, that's a great summation of this new Doctor, I thought.
Yeah, that means a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did. So, that he's obviously detached, and so, he's not going to be all touchy-feely like, 10 and 11 were. And so, yeah, he's a little more like in the spirit of like 6 and 9, in my opinion, and maybe 1 and 1. And so, yeah, I think that was a really interesting summation of Capaldi's Doctor. He reminds me a lot of Eccleston. He does. Yeah. And I think that was deliberate because Eccleston was a darker Doctor. Yeah, very much. Especially being all burned up, like damaged from the Time War. Right. I really dug him. I think he was underrated. And I do too, but unfortunately he chose not to do any more, and I know, just because he's Christopher Eccleston, and then he refused to come back for the 50th anniversary special. So I know. I like him in The Leftovers though. So. Yeah. He was on Heroes he came back on, various episodes of Heroes, something. And if you could do that and you could do the G.I. Joe movie, you could come back for the 50th anniversary special. But I think there's some hard feelings there. I think so too. Yeah. Which is a shame. I'm going to put a little plug in. If you're not watching The Leftovers, you should watch The Leftovers. I'm saying this to the listeners. Okay. It's super dark. It's super gritty, but it's good. And Christopher Eccleston is in it, and he's very good in it. And not too super depressing? It's very super depressing. Okay, so if you're prone to depression, don't watch The Leftovers. I wouldn't, no. But otherwise, if you're okay with things like that, very dystopian and dark. Okay. Well, if it's dystopian, then my wife would love it because she loves it's good. Dystopian. Yeah. We'll have to check that out. It's not young adult dystopian, though. It is dystopian. No. It is. It's HBO dystopian. Yes. That's good. Yes. That's good. So. Okay, so all right. I think now we'll do kind of reverse the polarity a little bit by going back to the past and discussing a couple of episodes that I think, in my opinion, have a little bearing on Into the Dalek. And so if you liked Into the Dalek, I think you'll like these episodes, or at least you'll appreciate some aspects of them. Can I say something real quick? Yeah, go ahead. I love this segment, just so you know. I really do, because it when I listened to the last episode, I was like, oh, I remember that episode. I got to go back and watch it. Yeah, I dug it. Yeah, Jesse was like, you need to go back and do older stuff. I'm like, well, I was, I told him, I go, well, it didn't really, there wasn't really a classic episode that applied to Deep Breath so much. But in this case, I think one of the episodes that I think people should check out, that if you liked Into the Dalek, I think you might want to check out The Invisible Enemy, which is a Tom Baker episode from season 15 in 1977.
Mm.
And this was actually the first episode that introduced K9.
Yay!
Yay, because we know Karen's a big K9 fan.
I love K9.
Yeah, who doesn't love K9? If you don't love if you don't love K9, you have no soul.
That's right.
I'm going to go on record on that. So yeah.
I agree.
If you hate K9, we're going to throw down because, K9 rocks.
We're gonna throw down. I like that. I'll open a can on you.
That's right. It's like I got chewing gum and I'm going to kick ass and I'm all out of chewing gum.
That's right.
So, anyway, in The Invisible Enemy, this episode featured like halfway through clones of the Doctor and Leela, miniaturized. Hey, there you go. They were miniaturized and sent into the Doctor's body to destroy the episode's big bad called the nucleus of the swarm, which was like this microscopic megalomaniac that little microscopic creature that was essentially like the head of a giant sentient virus. So there's a lot of those last two parts take place inside the Doctor's body with these clones of the Doctor and Leela going in there trying to get the nucleus out of the Doctor's body and destroy him. So if you like that whole shrinking down and going through these like strange little like internal realms, if you kind of dig that whole kind of Fantastic Voyage inner space vibe, you might dig that episode.
Excellent. I vaguely remember that episode.
Yeah, it's not a big one, but like I said, it does have the first appearance of K9. So if nothing else, it's worth it for that.
Memorable.
And then another episode, which is a lot more recent, is obviously Dalek from 2005, because this was series 1 during Christopher Eccleston's season, and that episode explored a lot of the Doctor's hatred toward the Daleks, especially now that it was post-Time War. So, and then there was that echoed into the Dalek, I thought, and then it also focused on a single Dalek character, like Into the Dalek did with Rusty, and that it starts out, this Dalek starts off being sympathetic, and because he's all imprisoned in this episode, and then of course gets freed, and then immediately starts like exterminating everything in sight because Daleks. So that's what they are, and that's what they do. So, yeah.
When I watched that episode, I was like, "Hey, at least I don't climb stairs." Oh, shit!
But see, that's the thing, though. They're like a lot of people don't remember that whole staircase thing was addressed back in Sylvester McCoy's 5th episode, "Remembrance of the Daleks," which had a Dalek hovering above stairs, and it's like, haha, that whole stair thing doesn't, it doesn't
matter.
Doesn't work anymore. Good try. So, but in Dalek, it really got to the forefront. And I think a lot of people, obviously with the Doctor Who returning and everything, it got a lot more attention that way.
Yeah.
But it's still a great moment because it's like stairs, yeah, whatever, and then he hovers up and it's like starts exterminating. So
right,
that was great.
A good episode.
Good episode. Okay, so overall, what would you rate this Into the Dalek on a 1 to 10 scale?
I would give it. Are we doing the little qualifier at the end?
Yeah. As far as if you want. But basically, we're just pick whatever pick something from the episode that.
Good. I have something already.
All right. What's your rating scale?
Okay, I give it an 8.5 grape nut meteorites. That's what they look like to me.
Grape nut meteorites.
Yeah, they were not the most convincing meteorites, but the rest of that sequence was good.
That's okay. Okay, I gave that one. I gave Into the Dalek 8 out of 10 Dalek antibodies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those little.
Yeah, the little spears. Yeah.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, they were cool. I thought, and obviously, a lot more.
You know what they reminded me of?
What?
The thing that Luke had to fight.
Yeah, the little training droid thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to mention one of my other hand wave moments was the light thing. when Clara had that light bulb moment and she's like, "Oh, the lights!
Yes.
I have to turn them on." And I'm like, "What?
Ping. Yeah.
Really? What made you think of that? Because that has no correlation to anything. Because all he did is point at the thing. He didn't say the lights. He didn't,
Because it's only a 45-minute episode, we need to move
Yeah,
things
I know. I know. But again,
yeah.
so, Jesse would get mad at you for that because he doesn't like when people say things like that.
What?
He doesn't like when you're like, "Oh, don't think of it as real life. Think of it as the episode."
I can't imagine Jesse being mad at anything ever.
No, he's not mad.
No,
but
he's the most like passive person I know.
not passive. He's just happy and he
he's
and,
but that's good though. He's calm.
I know. I agree.
He's a calming influence, which is good
I
for
love Jesse.
when you have like a spaz like me. But
I've told him several times he is honestly one of my favorite people on the planet. He's one of the people that he almost knows when I'm at my very lowest points, and I get an email from him, and he's like, "How you doing?"
Yep.
And it's just he's one of the best people ever.
He is.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Jesse. Yeah. See, we miss you, Jesse.
Yeah, and I still hate you for being at Dragon Con, but whatever.
I moderately hate you for being at Dragon Con.
Hey, don't make me look bad. But yeah, that whole, I don't know, there were a lot of really big leaps in this episode with,
Right.
Oh, hey, the lights.
Yep.
Let me just crawl in there and turn them all on, and that'll do everything.
Yeah, little convenient plot points skipped over, and just to move the story along.
Yeah, so, that was a thing for me. I meant to mention that earlier, but
No.
But I did like the whole part where the doctor was showing the actual, like, the person, and I'm doing air quotes, inside the Dalek, all the memories.
Right.
Talking to him, the big eye, and we could see the memories projected in back of him. I just didn't like how that came about with her pressing on the buttons.
The magic reset button.
Yeah, just one more, and
The
that
shiny
went all
candy-like button.
Yeah, it went all through.
Yeah.
The Dalek, but she only did like 3 of them. So I didn't. Whatever. So yeah, I loved the scene inside the head, and then when he put the what was it? I guess it was the synapses together.
Yes.
In order to get inside his brain. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a very good simile, I guess, for.
I could just picture though, like during that whole mind meld sequence, where he's the doctor's allowing him into his mind, and you're like, my mind to your mind, and all that. And I'm just picturing like the sheer fail on the doctor's part, and Spock just like face palming, going when the Dalek like reaches in, goes into the doctor's mind, and all he gets out is like, hey, it's okay to hate Daleks.
Right.
And the doctor's like, no, I just want you to like, be good. It's like, no, you don't have to hate Daleks, just don't, be good. And Rusty's all like, nope, gonna hate Daleks. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but
yeah.
I get the feeling that he doesn't think it's okay to hate Daleks, especially from the end of that, obviously. Right. But
so maybe he's trying to not be that person deliberately anymore. And I think that his whole like disgust at the thought of the Daleks seeing that hatred inside him, it just makes him realize that, I got to work on that, perhaps.
Yeah, I think he doesn't want to hate anyone.
Or he's tired of hating, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he just wants to move on.
I think so, too. And I think that might be something that it might be a recurring theme.
Yeah.
That he's going to try and make reparations.
And yes, because probably there will be another Dalek episode next year, because of, even though it's just an unconfirmed rumor, it's probably true that we have to have one Dalek episode at least, or at least the Daleks have to make some kind of appearance once a year, otherwise they lose the rights to use them from the Terry Nation estate. But
I'm okay with that. I like the Daleks.
See, I'm more of a Cybermen guy.
I like the Cybermen too.
I don't hate the Daleks, but I don't think there's been as many, like, there hasn't, every so often there's just not as strong of an episode with the Daleks Maybe it's just because they're not quite sure what to do with them. But I thought Into the Dalek was a very strong episode.
I think so too.
So,
I mean, I like all their little creations.
yes.
Cybermen, Daleks, the Weeping Angels. I mean, I like all. Well, you have to admit they're an interesting theme.
Oh yeah.
Whether they're creepy or not,
Well,
they were.
Well, you can do that whole Nazi thing with the Daleks.
Oh yes,
And
that's true.
all those metaphors of
Yeah.
hatred and genetic superiority and all this.
Yeah. And just before we go on to the little recap at the end here,
Yes.
I was playing Warcraft last night. Here's my little nerd segment. Playing Warcraft last night, and I was in a raid, and I was fighting, and in the middle of fighting, I was watching Doctor Who, and I yelled.
Yeah.
You can yell in a raid, and I yelled
Right.
out, "Exterminate!" And people were like, "Watching Doctor Who, are we?"
I mean,
So
you probably got cheers for that, didn't you?
I did,
Yeah.
yes. The people were and they were like, "Yeah, I'm watching it too." So, yeah. And then there were some that were like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
So
So it's
they
like,
were 12-year-olds, I'm sure.
get with the program, kids.
That's right. But I just thought it was a funny anecdote. Wanted to share that.
No, that's good. I think that's hilarious.
Okay.
It's not like Leroy Jenkins.
No, I have that title, but oh,
You do?
and in the next expansion, they're actually going to put Leroy into the game.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
He's going to be dead inside the instance
Yeah,
that he made famous.
For those
so.
who don't know, Leroy Jenkins is a meme on you can find it on YouTube or the internet somewhere, but yeah, check it out because it's kind of a classic meme.
I could do a real short. He went rushing into an instance, and it's an instance where a bunch of these little dragons come out at you if you rush in, and he went rushing in, and mistakenly all his teammates went rushing in after him, and they all died, and it was a bad scene.
Yeah,
So-
they were calling him
went
like, "You idiot, Leroy, you idiot."
When he went rushing in, he went, "Leroy Jenkins," like that.
Yep.
And they had spent time setting the whole thing up
Yep.
ahead of time.
He
Okay,
just
when we go
totally-
in, we're going to do this.
Totally
this,
ruined it. Yeah.
Right. And then after everything, when they were all dead and yelling at him and everything, he said, "Well, at least I had chicken." So that's the whole story of Leroy Jenkins. But it's funny to watch as well.
Yep.
So feel free to go and watch it.
Okay.
And then there's a title if you go into that instance now
Yeah.
and you kill all those dragons in a certain amount of time, you get the title Leroy. So
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a gamer, so I have to. I'll go with Karen's take on that.
yeah, it was kind of stupid at the time, but
See, I only know it because I have gamer friends, and they were like, "You gotta watch this video." So,
it's funny.
It is funny.
You have to now again the video. It's a reenactment
Yeah.
of it, but it did happen that way apparently. So
Okay. Oh, it's a recreation. It's not the actual recording.
right,
Okay.
because
I
they
wasn't aware of
weren't-
that. I thought it was like somebody recorded that from a game.
No, well,
Well, I mean,
They-
yeah, like they were actually that was from the actual game when it happened.
right.
Okay,
It
but-
happened that way
But
because they have the audio of it, but they reenacted it for that video.
okay.
So just so you know.
Okay. All right. So I promised Jesse that I would answer this email here. So it's time for email.
Dun dun dun.
Email. The email. Yes, I totally ripped off Strong Bad for that. Okay, so here's the email, and it's from Ken Schaefer and to Jesse. So
To Jesse.
to Jesse, yeah. So he forwarded this on to me. Said you got to put this in the podcast. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So he's like, okay. So howdy, Jesse and Charles. So apparently he's from Texas or something, just like Jesse is. But after watching Deep Breath with my 16-year-old son Parker, and then listening to podcast number 1, which was an unearthly podcast for those who are checking it out, which is somehow the third. Oh, and he's talking about Deep Breath. Never mind. Sorry, that was my bad. You guys, he's like, I was struck by the fact that Charles is forgetting a regeneration that was at least as bad as the 12th. Charles's own doctor, number 5, Peter Davison. When Tom Baker fell off the telescope, even though, quote, everything had been prepared, unquote. The Fifth Doctor's start was very rough. He was confused and disoriented. Am I misremembering, or was there any mention of regeneration sickness? Man, I hate being old. Anywho, I thought I'd throw that out there. Now hang up and listen. Okay, Kenneth Schaefer. Okay, Ken. All right. Actually, no, I didn't forget. I just didn't want to go into the whole thing. So, because the Doctor's had several problems with regeneration over the years. Like the first time he regenerated into Patrick Troughton, he was a little confused, and Ben and Polly weren't sure who he was, and I don't think he even was really sure who he was. And then the third, when Patrick Troughton regenerated to John Pertwee, there was confusion there about, he had just fallen out of the TARDIS and had no real memory and was just talking about just lapsing into comas and off and on and wanting his shoes. So that was in Spearhead from Space. And then the aforementioned, start with Peter Davison and Castrovalva. And then when Peter Davison regenerated into Colin Baker in the Twin Dilemma, the Doctor was just completely going in different directions and even strangled his companion Perry at one point. But we won't talk about that. Yeah, and then...
bad news.
Yeah, it was bad news. Not a really ominous, or actually a pretty ominous bad start for the Sixth Doctor. And then in Time of the Rani, Sylvester McCoy, the Seventh Doctor, had a post-regenerative amnesia to the point where he thought that the Rani was his companion Mel. So, yes, this has happened before, and several times, but I was just trying, for the sake of the podcast and trying to be brief, I was trying to just kind of gloss over that conveniently. So thanks for catching me, but I just kind of deliberately skipped over that. So, but thanks for listening, Ken, and feel free to keep me on my toes and keep me honest like you did. So, yay, Ken.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Was the easiest regeneration between 10 and 11?
It's up there. I mean, he had problems with, he was still cooking and figuring out what he had that craving for.
Yeah, but I mean, he realized he was a doctor and...
Yeah. Oh, and I also forgot, about the Eighth Doctor, because the Eighth Doctor had post-regenerative amnesia there for a little bit. He's walking around bit in a sheet, all acting like Jesus, looking like Jesus, because he's got his long hair and he's walking around the sheet and wondering who am I? So, and then he's was okay, these shoes, they fit perfectly, yes. And then he's knows he's the Doctor. So yeah, it's all good. I love McGann. I love Paul McGann. So
between the 10th and 11th, it was okay, I've got hair.
Yep.
Am I a girl? No.
No.
It just seemed like it was a very easy.
It's one of the more. It's one of the smoother ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. I think, and then John Pertwee regenerating into Tom Baker was pretty smooth for the most part, because, the Fourth Doctor was unpredictable, but he started off that way and stayed that way. There wasn't any real change. He knew where everybody was. He just kind of just flowed right into his Doctor. So yeah, I think that was a pretty smooth one. So, but so anyway. I think that's probably about does it. Do want to thank everybody who has posted these wonderful 5-star reviews on iTunes and taken the time to express that how much they dig the show, and that send us emails or comments on Twitter and Facebook, and just we really appreciate it. We love you guys. We want to keep building this up, so if you would, just spread the word for us. So, Karen, is there anywhere that people can find you out there in the wonderful interwebs?
Yeah, I'm at Aleveria, Aleveria, and if you see my page there, my bio, it has my link to my about.me page. And it is about.me patreon.com/Aliveria, and that has links for all my projects. I do have a couple projects coming up that do not have links yet because they have not been announced. But as soon as they are announced, my links will go there.
Mystery projects.
Well, they're not mysteries, really. I have something coming up for Golden Spiral Media that just has not been announced yet to the public. It's mostly because it just hasn't been announced. But it mostly because the details haven't been firmed up. But I'm having an online meeting tomorrow about that. So that will be announced through Golden Spiral Media, and then I'll tweet it tomorrow. So watch for that. But all my links are there. I mostly do stuff for Golden Spiral Media, but I also freelance. I do Storming the Castle. Right now I'm doing Under the Dome. That's Golden Spiral Media as well.
Orphan Black When It's On.
Orphan Black When It's On, and that's with Steve Salyer. Oh, what else do I do? I'm at harlequinjunkie.com, and I do romance genre novels, but I also do non-genre editorials about the publishing industry, and those are interesting,
Nice.
I think.
Very nice.
And I review Castle and Parks and Rec on nicegirlstv.com.
Excellent. Excellent. And my deepest thanks to Karen for filling in for Jesse and for putting up with all my nonsense today.
No worries. You did great.
Oh, you're just saying that.
No, it's true.
Well, thank you for thank you for lying, but
I would not lie to you. You know what I would do? I would say, "Oh, you did terrible,"
Okay.
but you didn't. You did great.
All right. Well, I appreciate that because, yeah, we'll see how when maybe down the road we'll do this again. But yeah.
Of course.
All right. So yeah, thank you so much for filling in. We really appreciate it. And
No problem. Anytime.
And
as you can tell from me filling in, I really like Doctor Who.
which is
so I'm here anytime.
which works out good.
Yep, that's right.
That's good. Especially for a Doctor Who podcast. Go figure. But yeah, for those who are, waiting desperately for Jesse to come back, we're going to be doing, I guess he wants to do like a wrap up of Dragon Con, everything he saw and experienced at Dragon Con, to throw that up to me on Thursday. So keep checking back for like our episode 2.5, I guess we're going to call it. We'll figure that out. But so keep checking back for that. But for right now, you can find me at Charles Skaggs on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus for the two of you that actually use Google Plus. And then you can find me there, or you can check out my blog, Damn Good Coffee and Hot, which covers all kinds of geeky things, including Doctor Who and comics, sci-fi, you name it, I'll cover it one way or the other. I just covered Greatest American Hero, for crying out loud.
I love that.
Yes. So hopefully, yeah. So check out the blog and yeah, let me know what you think, and just keep checking back for more, because we're obviously we'll post updates about upcoming things, and next week we'll be covering what is the next episode, Robot of Sherwood by Mark Gatiss.
I can't wait.
Yeah. The Doctor of Meeting Robin Hood. So at last. So
I am not a merry man.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just channeled Worf, I think.
Wrong show.
Yeah, wrong show. But you kind of get the gist of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so check back for that. We'll be covering that. So that's what's coming up, and I guess that's it. So for now,
I have a preview for you.
Oh, what's your preview?
Spoon. You'll get that when you watch it.
Okay.
It's a tease.
That sounds like from The Tick, though.
It is from The Tick, but when you see it, you'll know what I'm
talking about. A Tick joke making it into Doctor Who. That's kind of awesome.
Well, kind of.
Kind of?
You'll
okay.
see.
All right. Spoilers. Okay.
It's not really spoiler, but
right. Okay. All right. We'll check that out. So,
okay.
For all of us here at Next Stop Everywhere, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon, guys. Take it, and in the immortal words of Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.